Virgo, I am back. We're going to be looking at what's taking place for you here in October. It's been quite a while, and I want to thank you for all your emails, all your requests. When are you coming back? Are you going to be giving us more readings? And so I decided to do so because once you start, you got to follow up. That's the thing. And of course, I've had a lot of projects going on, still do, but I miss you guys, right? So let's take a look. 2020 has been such a weird year. So we're going to be going through it here for you Virgos this month in October. And I've made a second video that will be attached to the end, which is more so talking about the stellium of the difficult transits, the Saturn, Pluto with Jupiter there. And of course, I know you've probably been listening to all the other great astrologers out there this year, hearing about it, but I also put up my 2 cents worth, and I think it would really behoove you to listen to that too after this. So, what I'm going to do here this month, um, I'm using new software. I'm just using Zoom here. So, it is going to be a raw file that's going to be sent to you. I'm not going to edit it and then render it, which takes a lot of time. So you might get some bloopers, but then just laugh along. All right. And if there is anything, then just be patient. But let me show you what I am going to be bringing up, which is your chart. Now, let me just also bring up the video here a little bit larger. There we go. So that you can follow along when I am speaking as well. So as you can see, Virgo, over here, you can follow my little mouse as we're talking, right? It's a little interesting month because we are going to have two full moons, all right? That doesn't happen all that often, so we're definitely going to be harvesting in on those things that are super important. Um, but let me just start here with the sun. We're moving here through Libra this month, right? And so what that will do for you, it's placing the sun in your second house. That has to do with money, getting all your ducks in a row. There might be more money coming in, and there could also be more money going out, all depending upon. But we have the new moon, as you can see here. And let me just bring up, let me see, annotations. I'm going to bring up like little here. There's the sun. And here we have that new moon, second house. This new moon is going to help you put out your intentions to bring, to draw in, to manifest more money since it's in this area. And let me tell you, though, a little secret about these new moons. Those of you who's been listening to me years back, we always talked about how important those intentions are. However, when we place the intentions here for money, it's not just going to be till the next new moon, like this month, right? It really has a potential if you place your intentions about finances, it will carry through for a whole 12 months, for a whole year. This can start manifesting for you because this is the area where you are placing it about money. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have other intentions. Every new moon, we have this, and that intention all individually. But if we know where the new moon is going to hit and place specific intentions around that area, that is the area that's really going to be bringing it home for you. Like for you, if it's in your second house for money, and say that well, I want, a new relationship. Well, that's about the seventh house, fifth, seventh house, right? That may not come into you and manifest as quickly because that would be the new moon when it gets to your fifth or seventh house, not necessarily here when it's showing the money house. So right now, it would really behoove you on top of your list of intentions to think about your values. And values isn't always just money. It's how we feel on the inside. Um, what do I want to grow spiritually, right? What do I want to grow emotionally, morally, and especially in a time where moral seems to be going off the chart, with all these difficult planets that we've been under. So this new moon is taking place October 16th. Put it on your calendar. I want you to really specifically focus on intentions for second house values. That doesn't mean you can't have other intentions too, of course, because it is a new moon. But yeah, do that. See how that's going to work for you, Virgo, right? And then since we're on the topic of moons, let's talk about the full moons. We got two. The first one is right down here, which is October 1st, 9 degrees Aries. For you, that's going to be up here in the eighth house. So again, it has to do with money and values, not necessarily income money. That's the second house down here. The eighth house is more investments, savings, retirement funds, uh, royalties, commissions, that kind of thing. Money that you have with other people will be important. You got a full moon here, so we're harvesting from it, and you got Mars up there too, which has also been working on this series. So I think a lot of you Virgos have been, as long as Mars has been here, you've been plotting through, thinking, how can I save money? How can I put money aside? Is it a time to invest, right? Do stocks and so forth. So you've been doing your research in this area. I think that is all good. But then again, Mars will now be retrograding. Normally, it takes Mars 6 weeks to pass through a sign. We're seeing that it's going to be giving you 6 months. That is actually a gift from the universe to slow things down just enough so that you can really get a good grip. Because when it moves through too quickly, we're busy with other things, we get distracted, and we're not really having that super vision, that clarity. So for you, I would definitely say pay attention to mortgages, investments, refinance, all those things. Maybe you can perfect it now under this Mars transit. Mars is in Aries and it rules Aries, so it's kind of like double whammy, isn't it? Double as strong. Mars is always our goals, our drive, and so forth. Your drive is going to be on this, or the money that you hold with a partner, right? Whether that is a significant other or somebody that you work with, and so forth. You might, when the aspects are good, then you have something that's moving for you. If you're going to have squares or oppositions in your personal chart throughout this period, then there could be strife and a little bit of fiery energy going on there where you're going to have to really stand your ground, right? So that depends on your personal chart, mind you. Second full moon, since we are, if you look down here at the bottom of the list, that is October 31st, and it is 8 degrees in Taurus, right up here with your Uranus, ninth house. So again, this is a time where things will come back to you, where there's things that you might have held intentions for earlier in the year, right? Which now can bring that manifestation. The full moon always manifests, brings something to us that we can appreciate. And since it is in the sign of Taurus, yes, it's earthy, it holds value. Remember, Taurus is ruled by Venus, right? So all those beautiful things too. Of course, Taurus wants structure and it wants security and so forth. But this full moon is a little exciting because why? It is conjunct right up there with Uranus. And Uranus is always like the wild card. You never know what you're going to get, like a box of chocolate, right? So, yes, being the wild card, being in this area, the ninth house has to do with long distance travel, foreign people and places and foreign countries, long distance travel, but also higher education. Some of you might just, since it's this unexpected wow factor, maybe some of you might come to this conclusion that, ooh, maybe I want to research this or take a class for that. And that should be good. Uranus opens our minds. It's that higher octave of Mercury, right? Mercury, which is that linear way of thinking, very 3D. You got to express yourself from A to Z to get there, to get the point across. But with Uranus, we always get these beautiful full downloads, like opening up a zip file, and it's just a flash of understanding, intuition kicking in. And so maybe it might just be something that's going to open up super powerfully within the area of consciousness. So pay attention, October 31st for it. So now we've talked about the moons, right? Backtrack a little bit, and we will move to Mercury, third house. Mercury is your ruler. And so for that, being in the third house, which is ruled by Gemini, that's kind of double factor. So it's like Mercury, Mercury, right? But in the sign of Scorpio. And so what does that mean? Mercury are thoughts, the way we think, the way we communicate. Third house is all about communication, how we present ourselves. It's going to have that Scorpion energy connected to it. And Scorpio is never superficial. It is deep. It is cutting to the core. You're going to get your point across. You're going to get it said, especially in the areas where perhaps unsaid situations have been left, okay? Things that could have been discussed, issues could have been worked through earlier and didn't. Well, now is a good time for it. Now, Mercury here will retrograde from October 14th through November 4th. So as you know, with any kind of Mercury retrogrades, we don't really want to sign any new contracts because it can go haywire, misunderstandings, miscommunications, delays, that kind of thing. So lay low. And I'd even say, a few days to a week before it starts retrograding, and to after, say, a week at least after November 4th. Even if you have to do it November 5th, you're out of the retrograde, but Mercury's still going to be stationary. That's always when they're most at a critical stage, right? Just as they're stationary when they're changing. So give it at least a week, 10 days in November, you should be good. Now, if you have to sign anything, well, the show must go on. Sometimes we can't avoid. Then just read the fine print really, really well, and be aware, right? You don't want to buy any electronics or anything either. You might buy a new computer, a new phone, Android, iPhone, whatever, and then it might be funky. The screen won't work or the programs won't sit. We run into those things all the time. We've all been there, right? Now, short distance travel is also ruled in under this area, so there might be some delays there. And of course, because of COVID, there's still restrictions, or maybe you find that you can't travel if wearing a mask is mandatory where you're at and you find that difficult. So just know that this is an area you might have to be a little patient with the way things are. We're going to jump up here to the 12th house. We've got Venus right here, 28 degrees in Leo. So for you, already in September, Venus has been working there. 12th house is our subconsciousness, the way we think, our dreams, the way we imagine things, our inner vision, that kind of thing. And of course, Leo is very warm and it's flashy and it really likes to be center stage, but 12th house Pisces doesn't really like to be center stage. So you might have been having to feel like you were put on the spot at some point there with Venus. But really, it's super creative, Virgo. Listen and feel that creativity. Maybe it's a time for you to kind of bring that up. We only got a couple of degrees there, and then it's going to move into the first house, which is your sign and whatnot, and which is really going to behoove you when we talk about next month. But yes, this is a time to listen to that creative voice that's wanting to come up and out, right? That can bring you a lot of joy. Let me tell you, especially under times like now where things are slow, it's in lockdown, and we have all this pressure being built up, and where can we take it out? And that is what we're going to talk about right now next, because why? Look at this down here, fifth house. This is where we have Jupiter, we got Pluto, we got Saturn, and where it's been stuck for you for several months. Now, it's not the worst place to have it stuck, just to say that, because fifth house is creativity, self expression. So, a lot of you have been taking that pressure when you haven't been able to go out in the world. Hopefully, a lot of you have transformed it to the inner world and how to express, how to bring out aspects of your own inner artist, whether it is painting, sculpting, music. Many of you have found music here, or looking into uh, personal businesses. 10th house is career, right? The fifth house can be entrepreneurial, where you've been thinking, what can I do from home, which is great. Jupiter expands everything, right? And in this area here with Pluto and Saturn, while it's been working, they're trying to expand it internationally with having to lock down. Think about Saturn with the rings kind of like holding us back, and Pluto pressuring that on the inside, which for all of us, we've been purging that inner self. And what do we do when we can't move, right? Um, so for the introverts, it's been easier in many ways because they're used to that internal life. For those of you who have been very extroverted by nature, yes, you might have been a little bit more challenged and tested than people most. Because if the energy can't go out, where will it go? It turns inwards. So, yes, you might have felt tired, fatigued, and all that, just want to sleep or watch movies or whatnot, whatever works, whatever floats your boat, right? Yes, but it isn't really in a bad place. Now, next month, when Venus gets down into your first house, it will start pinging over here, and you'll see how that is going to start opening up things for you. So, you really want to listen to the November forecast because we see change on the horizon there for you. Virgo. Um, when it comes to the outer planets, they haven't moved a whole lot. You got Neptune, seventh house, relationship. It is going to be retrograde for a while. So it's 19 degrees there in Pisces. And so, of course, a lot of you have been feeling how your relationships have spiritualized, right? And it still will be here for a long time. It's not going anywhere. But you might have, because of the lockdown, found a different way to communicate with your spouse or your partner in a different way, maybe more creative or also spiritual way. At least that is what the universe is hoping that you will do. So it's not just all in the physical, because, these planets are in Capricorn down here in the fifth house. That's what's crumbling. That old structure is crumbling. So if we can't trust that physical aspect, it's asking of you to turn that energy into more of spiritual aspects that you can be sharing with your partner. And if that is done right, wow, it could be a powerhouse of creativity between the two of you. But communication is everything. Talk, share, right? Because a lot of these planets can be quite angry too, right? And since we have, let me just draw a line here, between Mars and Saturn, we have that square, Pluto too. So it's not going to be easy when we get into October. Mars is, like I've always said, dynamite. Pluto is nuclear. Um, each of their own are good for various reasons when you need it to kind of plunge through. But when we put them together, it's like, something could be very explosive, very explosive. Um, and Saturn is here too. So Saturn and Pluto both have this square. Jupiter is kind of like slowly a little bit in the mix. So, yeah, we might start off the month with situations. We're going to see that out in the world. Just make sure that your world that you are in charge of doesn't get this. explosiveness, so that that anger becomes displaced to people and circumstances that really don't deserve it, because it's that frustration that's going to be building up in us and boom, right? Out. Careful. Be very careful. Just lay low until Mars disappears out of this scenario. But, when you listen to this video that comes afterwards, you will hear more of me when I talk about this whole stellium, where we, inside, internally, where we're tearing down the old structure that we always knew that used to work for us in the past, no longer working now, and what Pluto's trying to regenerate, rebirth in us, in our consciousness, which is going to be with us for years and years and years to come. So we want to get it good. We want to get it straight from the get-go so that we can evolve in a great way as we enter into the future. Uranus up in the 9th house, well, it's been there for you for a long time, still will be for many years yet to come. And that is just how you, Virgo, are, I'd like to say, spiritualizing, where you're starting to think outside of the box. It's not just 3D. You're really attuning yourself to higher consciousness, having experiences that will open you, burst you open to that there's more to it than the five senses, right? Where we're opening up here with anything like clairvoyance, telepathy, those kind of things, ESP, where you're seeing your higher sight is coming in. And for you, some of you, it might be shocking initially when it starts because you are an earth sign. So you might feel that, but actually it's just growing more of who you are by your divine nature. Loving that. And then, of course, yeah, we've talked about Pluto. Pluto's down here. It is transforming its situation in the 5th house, which isn't just self-expression. It is also children. So there might have been a lot of things moving, changing, evolving with your children here in 2020. It's still there. You might have to be there for them a little bit extra, and especially now when Mars is kind of squaring that, there might be situations, right? So listen to your moon sign before I let you go. Listen to your moon sign. If you know what it is, if not, you can go find it at astro.com. Put in your birth data because why? This is your solar, it's your sun scope for this month. But when you know where your moon is, you can listen to it, and it's very pertinent to you, as is the rising sign. If you know your rising sign, you want to listen to that reading, because everything we've said here is going to be the same as far as transits in those other two charts, but it's going to be in different areas of your scope. If you look at my mouse now, you will have a totally different chart, transits being the same, but these energies are going to express themselves through different areas. So it's super pertinent and potent for you. So listen, let people know, let your friends know I'm back, and I will see you again there in November. So in the meantime, well, have a good one. I wish you the very, very best. It's great to be back and speak with you again, Virgo, and see you soon. Have a good one now.